Welcome to the surgical theater. I want you to imagine, just for a second, that you are sitting right there in the exam hall. The clock is relentlessly ticking down. The silence in the room is absolutely deafening. And you open your Cambridge past paper, whether you're sitting syllabus 0417, 0478, 2210, 9618, or 9626, and there it is. A massive, intimidating 8-mark question staring right back at you. The topic? Automated systems. We're talking burglar alarms, complex traffic control networks, car park barriers, environmental sensors. For a lot of candidates, this exact moment is where the panic completely sets in. Their mind goes blank. But not for you. Welcome to this explainer, where we are going to surgically dissect topic 3.2 to help you absolutely secure those top-tier marks. We're going to treat these exam questions not as terrifying, unbeatable obstacles, but as patients on an operating table. We need precision instruments, we need a crystal clear procedural framework, and we need incredibly steady hands. Today, you are the lead surgeon. By the end of this explainer, you're going to possess the exact step-by-step strategies needed to dissect these automated system questions with absolute surgical accuracy. Right, let's look at why this specific topic is literally the ultimate deciding factor for your final grade. A senior Cambridge examiner recently stated point blank that the difference between a B and an A star often comes down to exactly how well you understand this particular section. So why is that? It's because this topic is definitely not just about regurgitating some rote facts you memorized from a textbook. Honestly, any student can memorize that a microprocessor processes data. That's basic. But it takes an A-star candidate to explain exactly how an analog-to-digital converter takes continuous physical data from a magnetic induction loop sensor, translates it into discrete digital data, and how a microprocessor then compares that very specific data against preset stored threshold values in its registers to trigger a specific actuator that physically raises a car park barrier. You see the difference? This topic tests your logic, your sequential thinking, and your ability to link underlying hardware with real-world, dynamic, changing situations. It is the absolute ultimate test of your analytical depth. So here is our surgical plan for today's session. We'll start with pre-op diagnostics. Then we'll cover the top examiner warnings. After that, we'll map out the procedural framework. Next, we dive into the method mark operation. And we will wrap it all up with evaluative thinking post-op. Let's get scrubbed in and get to work.
Starting with Section 1, Pre-Op Diagnostics, where we analyze common student archetypes.
Let's diagnose two very typical exam candidates. We'll call them Alex and Sam. I want to look at exactly where things usually go wrong for them in the exam hall, so you can avoid their mistakes. Picture a real Cambridge computer science past paper question. It's asking candidates to evaluate the use of a computerized traffic control system in a busy city center. Now, Alex sees the word traffic light and immediately goes into panic mode, overloading the answer with entirely uncontextualized facts, just raw, superficial breadth. Alex writes massive paragraphs about the history of microprocessors and generic sensor types, but provides absolutely zero analysis of the specific city center scenario. It's a complete data dump. Then we have Sam. Sam completely rushes the structure, misses the format conventions entirely, and completely ignores the actual command word in the prompt. Both of these approaches entirely miss the analytical depth the examiners demand. How do we fix this? Top students use a secret weapon called the PEAL framework. That stands for point, evidence, explanation, link. They structure every single answer by making a really clear point, backing it up with evidence from the provided system, explaining the underlying technical mechanism, and crucially, linking it right back to the exact scenario in the prompt. Before we continue, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Ace the Exams, at acetheexams_IGCSE to excel in your Cambridge examinations. Click that subscribe button and hit the bell icon right now.
Moving on to Section 2, let's talk about top examiner warnings and look at the principal examiner's diagnosis. Every single year, after sitting down and marking literally thousands of exam papers, the Cambridge principal examiners release a report. And let me tell you, this report acts as an incredible cheat sheet of what absolutely not to do. They are genuinely exhausted from seeing these 3 specific mistakes, and they're practically begging candidates to stop making them. First up, using the wrong approach for the wrong context. If the question is about a very simple local burglar alarm, you really don't need a massive convoluted dissertation on complex heuristic algorithms or machine learning. You just need to explain a straightforward, continuous polling loop. Keep it simple and relevant. Second, forgetting to check formats and presentation. This is a tragedy. If the command word says discuss, you need to be writing in full paragraphs weighing different sides. Bullet points will completely tank your score there. Third, and honestly the most important one, providing generic answers. If the prompt clearly tells you it's a car park barrier at an international airport, but you write an answer that sounds like it's for a tiny local grocery store, totally ignoring the high-security airport context, you are going to hemorrhage marks.
The crucial takeaway here is that every single point you make must be deeply, inextricably anchored to the specific context provided in the question. The examiner alert is flashing bright red for us right now. They say, always link every point to the given scenario. Listen to how this plays out in reality. If you write, the sensor sends data to the microprocessor, you get 0 marks for context, none. But if you take a breath and write, the infrared sensor detects the physical motion of the intruder in the secure warehouse and sends an analog signal to the ADC, which converts it to discrete digital data for the microprocessor to analyze, boom, you are suddenly securing those top-tier marks. The examiner desperately needs to see that you aren't just reciting a textbook from memory, but that you are actively solving the unique, specific problem presented on the page right in front of you.
All right, section 3 is the procedural framework. It is time to pick up your surgical instruments. By treating each and every exam question like a delicate surgical procedure, you can follow these 5 strict steps to ensure you hit every single requirement for topic 3.2. Step 1 is to deconstruct the question. Get your pen out and circle the command word. Is it describe, is it explain, or is it evaluate? Because each of those requires a completely different approach. Step 2 is to extract relevant data. Highlight the specific sensors, the actuators, or the environmental conditions mentioned in the text. Step 3, select your analytical framework. Are you going to use the Peel method for a long-form essay, or do you need a chronological, step-by-step numbered list for process description? Make that choice early. Step 4 involves executing with clear notation. Use exact variable names if the paper provides them. And finally, step 5, present with correct terminology. This is a big one. Never ever write something like, the machine thinks about it. Machines don't think. You need to say, the microprocessor compares the incoming digital input against the preset threshold values currently stored in its memory registers. That right there is the language of a true top-tier candidate. Now, I need you to listen extremely closely to this part because this is an absolute massive secret weapon. In computer science and information technology papers, the method mark strategy is your absolute best friend. You see, examiners award method marks based on your systematic analysis and your evidence-based reasoning, even if your final conclusion isn't completely perfect. Let's say you are asked to write out the sequence of operations for a really complex automated traffic light system. You do great, but right at the end, you accidentally mix up the final actuator command, maybe stating it turns the light yellow instead of red. A novice student thinks they've just lost all 6 marks and they panic. But an expert candidate knows that if they accurately describe the physical sensor data collection, the analog-to-digital conversion process, and the microprocessor's continuous polling loop, they are still going to pick up 4 or 5 out of the 6 available marks. Process is literally everything. Show you're working out, clearly show your logical sequence of reasoning, and I promise you, the marks will follow. That brings us to section 4, the method mark operation, where we are executing data analysis. Stop scrolling. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Ace the Exams, at acetheexams_IGCSE to excel in your Cambridge examinations. We've helped thousands of students improve by 2 to 3 grade boundaries. Join them right now by subscribing to at acetheexams_IGCSE and turn on all notifications so you never miss our weekly exam strategy sessions. Okay, it's time to actually apply our skills and perform this operation. We are moving into our interactive workshop segment. Challenge 1 is a data scan. I want you to look at the table provided for a basic burglar alarm system. It lists the component, the condition, and the system action. Now, a weak student just reads that table aloud in their head and moves on. But I want you to put a 60-second timer on the clock in your head right now. What is the hidden, underlying core trend here? What is the implied hardware architecture that isn't explicitly written down? Time's up. You should be extracting the vital fact that there is a continuous, never-ending polling loop happening in the background. The motion sensor condition becoming true implies that it was previously false. That means the microprocessor is continuously, rapidly polling that sensor for updates. Furthermore, if it decides to activate the alarm, it absolutely must be sending a signal through a digital-to-analog converter, a DAC, in order to power the physical actuator, which is the alarm siren itself. You have to learn to read between the lines of the data they give you. Let's move to challenge 2, find the flaw. I want you to imagine a student writes this exact paragraph in their exam. The microprocessor is the brain of the computer. It receives data from the motion sensor. It then processes this data and activates the alarm if needed. Take a few seconds. Where is the flaw? The flaw is that it's completely, utterly generic.
Think about this carefully. If you just define what a microprocessor broadly does without explicitly linking it to the burglar alarm's specific physical trigger conditions, you immediately lose those contextual marks. Now let's rewrite that deeply flawed paragraph together live, right now, using our Peel framework. Your point: the microprocessor continuously controls the secure alarm state. Your evidence: it uses incoming digital data from the warehouse motion sensor. Your explanation: it receives this digital signal and constantly compares this incoming value against the specific preset threshold value for motion that was previously stored in its registers. And your link: if the incoming value exceeds that threshold, it outputs a signal to the actuator to physically trigger the burglar alarm siren, alerting security. That is exactly how you turn a zero-mark, generic throwaway answer into a flawless, method-mark-winning paragraph.
Finally, Section 5, Evaluative Thinking Post-op. This is all about achieving that elusive A-star grade. You now know exactly how to structure your answers and how to skillfully avoid those generic, low-level traps. But to reach the absolute peak of the Cambridge marking scheme, you really need to master evaluative thinking. The main surgery is done, the automated system is running beautifully, but now we must take a huge step back and critically analyze the overall success, the structural limitations, and the possible alternatives. For Challenge 3, our speed writing challenge, I want you to imagine you only have 30 seconds to write down what evaluative thinking truly means in Cambridge IT. It means moving way beyond basic description to actively, critically judging the quality and robustness of a system. When a tough question asks you to evaluate the use of an automated car park barrier system, it is quite literally inviting you to be a skeptic. You need to ask, what happens if the magnetic induction loop just completely fails? What is the hidden assumption made by this system? Well, it assumes that only large metal cars are passing through. What if a small carbon fiber bicycle or a pedestrian doesn't trigger the magnetic field? Evaluative thinking means you consider these alternative edge case scenarios and you justify your final recommendations with solid technical evidence. You might intelligently suggest adding a secondary infrared optical sensor as a failsafe to ensure smaller, non-metallic objects are actually detected. That advanced level of critical boundary-pushing analysis is exactly what the examiner is desperately searching for when handing out top marks.
Notice carefully how the evaluative level heavily requires you to compare different approaches, which is exactly how you practically prove your analytical depth to the person marking your paper. Let's look at the contrast really clearly so you get a feel for it. The descriptive level is simply listing the physical parts. It sounds like this. A traffic light system has red, yellow, and green lights, a timer, and a microprocessor. Honestly, that might get you 1, maybe 2 marks if you're lucky. But the evaluative level, that sounds totally different. It sounds like this. While a purely timer-based traffic light system is definitely cost-effective to install initially, it is highly inefficient during quiet, off-peak hours. In stark contrast, a sensor-driven approach utilizing induction loops dynamically adjusts to real-time traffic flow, vastly reducing driver wait times, though it absolutely carries a much higher initial installation cost and requires significantly more complex microprocessor algorithms to function. Do you hear the huge difference there? The evaluative level naturally justifies, it smoothly compares, and it heavily weighs the pros and cons against each other.
To completely ace this comparative analysis, you must explicitly show both the similarities and the differences. And always remember that candidates who reference cross-topic connections achieve significantly noticeably higher marks. When you are writing out these complex evaluative answers, I want you to use these specific tactical tools. Force yourself to use comparative connectives like whereas, conversely, or in contrast. Don't just lazily say one system is good and the other system is bad. Support it with cold, hard technical evidence. And here is an absolute golden nugget straight from the course syllabus. Explicitly reference cross-topic connections. If you are evaluating a modern smart burglar alarm, don't just talk about the basic motion sensors. Talk about how the local system might securely connect to a wide area network, a WAN, to instantly send an encrypted SMS alert directly to the homeowner's mobile device, seamlessly bringing in your networking knowledge. Showing that connected, broad, cross-topic conceptual understanding is how you absolutely dominate the exam paper.
Ultimately, the theoretical architecture of this entire syllabus heavily rewards the students who can fluidly adopt their logical, structured reasoning to literally any automated system thrown their way, no matter how weird or unfamiliar the context is. We've comprehensively covered the complete computer science answering system today. I want you to remember the 3 unbreakable rules that practically guarantee top marks. Rule number 1, command word decoding. You have to know exactly what the question is genuinely asking you to do before you write a single word. Rule number 2, Peel framework application. Point, evidence, explanation, link. Keep your answers incredibly tight and focused. And rule number 3, the time management matrix. Constantly allocating your precious exam time based strictly on the marks available and focusing intensely on the logical process over just getting the final answer perfectly right. Master these 3 elements, and I promise you will master the exam.
So, as we wrap up, I want you to leave this explainer seriously asking yourself how you can directly apply this surgical precision to your very next practice paper to guarantee you get those top marks. The tools are right there in your hands now. You intimately know the devastating pitfalls of students like Alex and Sam. You know exactly what the principal examiners are constantly warning against. And you now know exactly how to effectively leverage the procedural framework and evaluative thinking to craft comprehensive answers that are undeniably A-star quality. Students who implement these computer science strategies see an average improvement of 2 grade boundaries, but only if they practice consistently with our weekly videos. Here's your final reminder. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Ace the Exams, at acetheexams_IGCS to excel in your Cambridge examinations. Subscribe right now to at acetheexams_IGCS and click that bell. Don't let another exam pass you by. Drop a comment below with your target grade for computer science and the biggest challenge you're facing. Our team responds to every comment. Like and share this video with a study partner. Ace the Exams. Your Cambridge success starts here. Keep analyzing, keep evaluating, and I'll see you in the next explainer.